up because Ms. Shands kicks things off by saying she just has to prove Mr. Hollis is her baby's dad. But wait, you won't believe Mr. Hollis's response coming up next.
Ms. Shands, you appear in court today because you are devastated that your first love and the person you lost your virginity to is now denying your 15-month-old son, Aiden. You say once you prove to the defendant that he is the father, you hope you two can finally be a family.
And here's where it gets real messy. Mr. Hollis and his mom say Ms. Shands is a pathological liar and that they already know who the real dad is. It's like a soap opera, but hold on, it's about to get even juicier.
Mr. Hollis, you are here with your mother and you both testify that Ms. Shands is a pathological liar and you both don't believe you fathered her son, but claim to know who did.
Just when you think things can't get wilder, Ms. Shands admits she had a fling with one of Mr. Hollis's friends, which led to a whole mess in their friend group. The audience is gasping, and Judge Lake is just shaking her head. And trust me, there's more to this.
Me and his was close friends once before.
But
she used to come back and tell me that Mr. Amir, he was messing with one of my friends. We both were young at the time. So,
both y'all young now?
Yeah, we still are young. But I thought it was cool to go mess with one of his friends because he had slept with one of mine. We both had made a mistake.
No. Brace yourself for this one. Judge Lake asks Ms. Shands if she used protection with Mr. Hollis's friend. And Ms. Shands says, nope, not at all. And yep, there's still a lot more to spill.
You have revenge sex with one of his friends. And did you use protection?
No.
And then how many times did you have sex with this friend of his?
Multiple times.
But were you also still being intimate with Mr. Hollis?
We had broke up. When me and his friend had an affair, we wasn't together. We was not together at all.
An affair.
And then it gets even trickier as Ms. Shire's about finding out she was pregnant and how she first told Mr. Hollis's friend, not Mr. Hollis. The lack of communication just adds to the mistrust. But trust me, the surprises aren't over yet.
So you find out you're 5 months pregnant. What happens? Who do you tell?
Well, first I told his friend because that's the person I was going with at the time. We ended up going out.
When she was going with my friend, she was still sneaking around with me anyway because I felt like he did it to me, so y'all together, I'm finna go and do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
Things get awkwardly dramatic here. Only Mr. Hollis's friend was at the birth, and Mr. Hollis didn't even know she was having the baby. The misunderstandings keep stacking up, but believe me, this story's got even more layers.
When you give birth, who was with you?
The friend was with me when Aiden was born, in the hospital, in labor.
Sent my mom there because I knew there was a possibility that my son could be the dad as well. He favored my son when he was born.
I wasn't never invited. Like, anything I ever found out about the baby, I found out by myself. Like, I didn't even know she was in labor. I had to find that out.
And now it's gone public. Ms. Shands says she was hurt when Mr. Hollis wrote a song that accuses her of cheating, and the song went viral. As if that's not enough drama, more about their beef is about to hit the fan.
Like, when I heard the song at first, especially the first song, I forgot how it started, but he put my name in it, the friend name in it, but he erased it and changed it to a whole different, and then he came out with the
And we have some of the lyrics to that song. And I can't be cuffing Columbus hoe. About a year ago, I was in love with a thought.
Ms. Shands talks about how Aiden seems to have a real connection with Mr. Hollis, not the friend. And you can see Mr. Hollis's face soften as he talks about bonding with the baby. But wait, you'll want to hear what happens when they get the DNA results.
But every time he be with the other guy, he don't really be stunned him. He never showed the attention that he showed to Amir that he shows to the other guy.
And Miss Hollis, you say you tried to back off, but I see in this picture, you got the grandma face all over.
Finally, the DNA test results are in, and surprise.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hollis, you are not the father.
Right, strap in, folks. Mr. Benning drops a bomb right off the bat, sharing his shaky feels about whether his toddlers, 2-year-old Robin and baby Jermaine Jr., are actually his. He's hoping they are, but thanks to some naughty shenanigans from the defendant, he's got a storm cloud of doubt hanging over him. You'll want to stick around because the drama is just getting started.
Mr. Benning, you recently appeared in couples court and it was confirmed that the defendant cheated on you. This infidelity has caused questions regarding your 2-year-old daughter, Robin, and 6-month-old son, Jermaine Jermaine Jr.'s paternity. Although you are hopeful that both are your children.
His daughter Woa. This part's a tearjerker. Mr. Benning gets all mushy, talking about his daughter Robin, who he reckons is the spitting image of his mom, who passed away when he was just a kid. It's all about family feels and promises, folks. And oh, the next bit, it's a doozy.
First off, Your Honor, my mother passed away when I was 14 years old. She was my best friend. We spent every waking moment together. After she died, it, left me hurt. I always wanted a daughter, and I promised I was going to take care of her and treat her like my mother took care of me.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
I've always stuck by with that.
So having a daughter has been so important to you.
I waited.
Hold the phone, get this. While Ms. Bodine is busy pushing out a baby, Mr. Benning's phone blows up with a text from another dude claiming he's the real daddy. Talk about bad timing. It's a real soap opera scene, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next.
It actually happened during labor, Your Honor. I was in the hospital sitting across from Kayla as she was pushing this baby out. And I received a text from a guy telling me to leave the hospital because that's his baby and he needs to be there.
What?
I am in labor, like literally in the hospital. And I received a text telling me that the child that I'm waiting to come isn't mine.
Just when you think it couldn't get more tangled, Ms. Bodine has already done a secret paternity test on the side dude, who's not the dad. Plot twist. The court's all ears, and so should you be because the plot thickens from here.
How do you know this other guy is not the biological father?
Because, Your Honor, I stood up, did the woman and the mother thing I had to do, and got the other guy tested.
Oh. And you submitted those results to the court?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
All right. The probability of paternity between you and this other guy is 0%.
Yes.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Benning, you are not the father.
What the?
Start, you can tell this is about to be wild. Ms. Brewington steps up, saying Mr. Lee is definitely her son Giovanni's dad, and is dodging paternity just to skip out on child support. This is just the beginning, and things are about to get way more heated.
Ms. Brewington, you are here to prove your 3-year-old son Giovanni is Mr. Lee's biological child, and you claim Mr. Lee has been a father to your son since the day he was born and is denying paternity because he wants to avoid paying child support.
Ms. Brewington is 1000% sure that Mr. Lee is the dad. No doubts, no questions. She didn't expect any drama when she got pregnant, but Mr. Lee's got a different story, and he's about to let it fly.
So, Ms. Brewington, you claim you are 100% certain that Mr. Lee is the father.
I am without a doubt 100% certain that he is my son's father. Not only was I only sleeping with him, we were actually working on our relationship. So when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't think it was gonna be a shock or a surprise or anything like that.
You won't believe this level of denial. Mr. Lee says they weren't even cool like that when Giovanni was conceived. Judge Lake looks at him like, really? In the same bed, same house, but nothing happened? But Brewington isn't buying his story, and she's ready to prove him wrong.
At the time that Gio was conceived, we were not having no type of intercourse. We were not cool at the moment.
Your Honor, I was living with him. We were living in the same household, in the same bed.
Were you living in the same house?
Around the time, yes.
But you weren't together?
Exactly.
So were you sharing a bed?
Yes, ma'am.
And fluid.
No.
Clearly.
This moment is hilarious because Ms. Brewington finds out she's pregnant totally by accident. But if you think he's about to believe her now, you're wrong.
Okay, I found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control. I didn't even realize that they said that they had to do a pregnancy test before they could go ahead with the birth control. So I went ahead, they did a pregnancy test. I told him, he did not believe me at all. He went out and got 3 pregnancy tests, made me take all of them. They were all positive. And he was like, well, that's not my baby.
The way they argue over the dates is just too much. She's fed up with his cluelessness, but Mr. Lee is standing his ground like, no way, not my kid. And you can tell this argument isn't ending here.
So you seem so certain, Mr. Lee.
I do, because I'm gonna explain it to you, Your Honor. How she said her
He doesn't
birthday
wanna
is
pay
the
child
2nd of
support, Your Honor.
February.
It's not.
Her birthday's on the 2nd of February.
My
We
birthday's
was
on
not
the 1st
cool.
of February. My birthday is on the, how you gonna tell me what day
It's
I
the
was
second.
born? I was born on the 1st of
He
February.
said it's second.
Yeah, look, it's close.
It gets even crazier. Ms. Brewington says Mr. Lee wouldn't believe she was pregnant and told everyone she was just getting chubby. But of course, Mr. Lee has another excuse up his sleeve.
He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Just when you think he's out of reasons, here comes Mr. Lee acting interested the second he finds out it's a boy. But trust me, his next excuse is even wilder.
As soon as he found out that my son was a boy, he's like, oh, that's my boy. I love him. That's my son. I need to be there.
Was Mr. Lee there?
He came after I had given birth because he had work. But he showed right up. He actually didn't even, they asked about the birth certificate and everything. He signed the birth certificate. He named my son. Like, no, I'm not letting you give my son no dumb name.
This next part takes a real twist when Mr. Lee says Ms. Brewington's friend told him she knew the real dad, which got him doubting even more. At this point, this story couldn't get any messier, or could it?
One of her friends, a good friend of her, actually told me that I wasn't the father. She told me that she knows who's the father.
My friend told him that because she wanted to sleep with him.
I'm still talking.
I actually caught them sleeping together.
What?
This is the part where Ms. Brewington tries to prove things by showing baby pictures to compare Mr. Lee and Giovanni. But everyone's just waiting to see if the DNA will tell the real story.
So you're saying this is a picture of Giovanni on the left, and this is Mr. Lee as a child on the right?
Yes.
And you say you see a definite resemblance
between them two, yes.
They're light skinned.
You really don't believe he's yours now that he's here in the world?
No. I don't really see too much of me. Maybe, yeah, like I said, we got curls, but...
It's nuts to see Mr. Lee admit he's been around as Giovanni's dad, paying child support, all while saying the kid isn't his. The DNA test results are about to bring everything out into the open.
You're obviously responsible as it relates to child support because you signed the birth certificate.
I'm always there. I've never not been there. So he calls me daddy.
Calls you daddy.
Yes. Yes.
With all of that,
yes,
you still don't believe he's your biological son?
No.
Your Honor, that is his baby. And I can't wait, because the devil is a liar and this is Lucifer, so stop. No.
Well, you might be the devil then.
This is the big shocker.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Hold y'all.
Hold up.
I already know.
Happening in court today. Mr. Fegan is here today to prove that Ms. Pinkston is his biological daughter. She is not having any of it. She says her real father is the man that raised her. She just met Mr. Fegan when she turned 16. Now, here they are, 30 years later. This case is mysterious as it is unusual.
I met Mr. Fegan here when I was 16 years old. I never knew of him, never heard nothing about him. And then all of a sudden one day, my mom decided to take me with her to a friend's house.
Oh my goodness. Would you look at that? It's even worse than we thought. Her mother really said it so casually too. She simply mentioned that the man she's known all her life means absolutely nothing to her. This new man, however, is her father. How does that even work? Especially saying it to a teenager too.
Yeah,
okay. Did you know she was married?
Well, yes, at the time it was wrong what we...
How long did the affair last?
5 or 6 months, maybe somewhere. I mean, she came to me before I left the job and told me that she was...
Now the mystery has just started to unravel. It was an affair all those years ago? Phew, we're just getting started here. Now, how would this woman have felt, knowing her status as the product of an affair from her mom that must have hurt her father, Mr. Pinkston, so badly? What a sad thing, really.
That was like the worst day of my life because my mom sit down, she goes, "This is your father." I'm like, "No, my dad is at work, so what in the world are you talking about?" And next thing you know, there's tears everywhere. Everybody's crying.
Imagine that. This is a 16-year-old we're talking about. What did her mom expect? Did she think she'd tell her thank you and ask for an ice cream date with her new dad so she'd get to know him? She really called that event in itself the worst day of her life.
My dad passed away never knowing the secret from the time I was 16 until I was 27. We never spoke of this subject, ever.
So at 16 years old, you were called upon to keep this secret as well?
Yes.
She kept the secret for how many years? Whoa. The man that raised her really had no idea up until he passed on. It's almost like she kept the secret of her mom's affair for them. It's the wildest thing to ask a teenager to hold that sort of secret for you, Mr. Fegan.
She never would call me her father or...
I never called my father because my father died. So it never felt right to call some other man dad when my dad passed away.
And I understood that, I did. It hurt me that she couldn't,
Of course she didn't call you dad. How would she? After all of the love she has for her father that raised her, do you really think she would leave all of that behind for you with whom she has no relationship whatsoever, Mr. Fegan? Especially after you and her mother have burdened the poor girl with that unbearable secret.
To tell me about it, how come they didn't just let everything out the bag and everybody sit down and everybody talk about it?
I can't imagine having to get such life-altering news.
Oh well, they say if nothing is wrong with something, then there's no need to try fixing it. Miss Pinkston really loved her father who raised her, it seems. She absolutely adored him. She must have seen this man, Mr. Fegan, as an imposter at that point in her life, almost like the man was trying to take the happiness away from her, whereas all he wanted was love from his daughter.
And I heard it, but I act like I didn't hear it.
What did you hear?
That Kitty was her father.
Who did you hear say that?
My mom and a couple friends. This is something my mom didn't want none of her kids to know.
Now, take a look at that. Kids all over the family really were affected by this news from such a young age. One would think that kids are not listening or they don't understand, but this is real proof that they are listening and in fact do understand. Ms. Pinkston's sister is trying so hard, but she still can't make a concrete sentence because she thinks it's so unfair.
It means a lot because Tanya would be my only surviving child. I lost my son, and they were awful close.
Yes.
They were closer than me and her.
Really?
I was very close to him.
Did you?
Isn't that just the saddest thing? She is his only surviving child. What are the odds that his son and her brother died? This woman has really been through grief time and time again. Now here she is, facing paternity court and trying to figure out who her real father is. There's only one way to settle this. Let's get to the results.
Mr. Fegan.
Yes.
You are not her father.
Oh my God.
Oh, Lord, no.
Oh,
Oh, no. No, no, no.
You're not gonna believe this. Ms. Davis steps up with a claim that she got knocked up by Mr. Ham after a mere 2 months of knowing him. She's also thrown in a lawsuit for $1,500 for some baby shower gifts she says Mr. Ham swiped from her. Strap in, because this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Ms. Davis, you claim you got pregnant with Mr. Ham's child after knowing him for only 2 months. You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that Mr. Ham is the father of your 1-month-old baby, Jarrell Ham Jr. You're suing him for $1,500 for the cost of the baby shower gifts that you say Mr. Ham took from you.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Mr. Ham is adamant he's not the daddy, pointing fingers at Ms. Davis for playing the field during their fling. He spills the tea on their first meet, which sounds more like a tailgate party than a romantic date, with a crowd and all at their planned quiet spot by the lake. Oh, and it only gets juicier from here.
Now, Mr. Ham, you say Ms. Davis was dating 2 other men, and you are certain that you are not the father of her child. How can you be so sure this child is not yours?
I was in my car, just came from getting a haircut. I was looking good in my car. Me and Brittany has the same exact car, just different colors. She was looking pretty, too, I'm not gonna lie. She flagged me down to stop me so we can switch numbers.
Get this, Mr. Ham drops a bombshell about Ms. Davis still being married, on top of juggling a couple of boyfriends. He lays out their casual hookups with a side of skepticism about being the father, given the crowded field. Fasten your seatbelts. The roller coaster's about to drop.
So, if your testimony, Mr. Ham, she had more than one boyfriend.
Yes, she's married too, and she's still technically married now. She's not divorced now, she's still technically married. And she had 2 boyfriends too. So this is why I'm in a point where this can't really be my child, due to the fact she had all these boyfriends, and then at the end of the day, I come found she's married too, so I don't know what to believe.
Just when you think it couldn't get wilder, Ms. Davis talks about the moment she found out she was pregnant and how she broke the news to Mr. Ham, who seemed cool with it at first. But as the doubts crept in, the support started to crumble. Watch out for what's next. It's a doozy.
I'm at work throwing up, sick. Couldn't take it, so I asked my supervisor, can I go to the hospital? I'm thinking I had food poisoning or something, and I was pregnant.
After you found out you were pregnant, how did you tell Mr. Ham?
I called his phone and told him I was pregnant. He was at work. I went to his job, and man was talking about it. He was happy, excited.
So you felt like his reaction was that of excitement?
He was gonna be there.
Talk about a clash of titans. The courtroom turns into a battlefield as accusations fly and tensions boil over. Ms. Davis details the rocky aftermath of her pregnancy reveal, shedding light on their shaky relationship foundation. And guess what? It's about to escalate even more.
So tell me why you doubt it.
Well, me and her arguing, she told in front of my mother and auntie that this is not my child when the child was 4 weeks old.
I never did that.
She told this, and the second time when we was arguing in front of her at her mother's house.
To you out of anger. Out of anger, yes, your Honor, I did say that twice.
And then the second time
we
in front of
argued, he
her
make me
own
mad.
mother.
I'm like, you know,
all right.
And then there was the baby shower showdown. Ms. Davis accuses Mr. Ham of hijacking all the baby goodies, which leads to a heated debate about gift ownership and parental responsibility. The drama intensifies here, folks, and you'll want to see how this pans out.
The baby shower, I did not even want until after the baby was here, until I found out it was mine. She went behind my back and talked to my family after I told her not to even distance.
But at some point, you had a baby shower.
Due to the fact that she talked my family into it.
I never
And I got into it with my
Ms.
family.
Davis, did you talk?
No, I did not. I didn't even know they were throwing me the baby shower. They begged me to come to the baby shower.
Talk about a plot twist. Judge Lake steps in and rules in favor of Ms. Davis, ordering Mr. Ham to cough up $1,500 or return the stolen baby loot. This ruling underscores that once a gift is given, it's no takesies backsies. Brace yourselves. The DNA results are next, and they're a real game changer.
But to rule in favor of the plaintiff for $1,500 because those gifts belong to, you need to return the gifts, or you need to give her $1,500, which is the value of the gifts because you testified that that was the value, whether or not you're the child's father.
The court reveals they have retested Mr. Jackson and are ready to disclose the results. Judge Lake announces that the DNA results have been prepared by DNA Diagnostics, creating a moment of high tension and anticipation in the courtroom. Everyone's on the edge of their seat. What's coming up will definitely raise some eyebrows.
Well, this court has retested Mr. Jackson. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Downing versus Jones, when it comes to 29-year-old Brittany Stark, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Jackson is not the father.
Cue the dramatic entrance music for Mr. Aiken. Mr. Aiken joins the court via video link from his hometown, introducing another potential father into the narrative. He confidently states his belief that he is Brittany's biological father, based on her resemblance to his family and her interactions with them. Buckle up, things are about to get even more tangled.
I do believe that I'm Brittany's biological father. That she came down and visited my mom, she met my other kids, and she resembled everything. I mean, she is me. It was a high school thing, you know, back then it was one of those things when you just meet somebody you like them and experimental as we was younger, you know, and it's one of those things that happened and I guess this is the results.
Did someone say curveball? Mr. Downing expresses his surprise and frustration upon learning about Mr. Aiken only a week ago, highlighting the complexity and emotional weight of the case. He is visibly upset about the evolving situation, feeling misled by the lack of transparency from Ms. Jones. The next revelation's just around the corner, and trust me, it's a doozy.
So, Mr. Downing, when did you first hear about Mr. Aiken?
Last week. In a phone conversation with Miss Jones, we were talking. She told me that, well, there may be a third person that, you know, could possibly be her father. And I'm like, wow, third guy? She said it didn't have to go this far. She could have been honest in the beginning and say, hey, look, I don't know who the daddy is, but let's all get together and let's figure this thing out for Brittany's sake.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, nope, the final DNA result.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Aiken, you are not the father.
Wow, wow.